Hi everybody. Today's lesson is going to focus on interior zones and floor plans. I do apologize for not being in class today. However, I wanted to do a recording of the lesson I would normally do in person just so we can stay on track and you can fill out your note-taking guide efficiently and make sure that you have everything that you need as we move on next class period. Feel free throughout this presentation to pause, go back, move forward if you would even like. I wouldn't recommend going forward, but if I do go too fast, feel free to pause so you can capture the notes on your note-taking guide accordingly. So first thing that we'll discuss here is your three basic interior zones. Your first interior zone is living and social areas. So these would be places where your family and friends gather, where you may have parties, or if you do like to entertain. These are your basic areas. So your living room, dining room, family room, could even be decks or porches where you have people gather in the summer. But these are really a place to gather in large groups. Your second interior zone are sleeping in private areas. These are going to be mostly private to the homeowner, places where they can relax, so your bedrooms and bathrooms, closets, and dressing rooms. Important thing about this is interior zone is that these areas are probably not going to be very accessible to guests necessarily, and it's places where they're probably going to keep more private when they have people over. Then your third interior zone are service and work areas. These are anything from your kitchen, garage, office or basements, or laundry rooms, places where work is done or where you're preparing things or doing certain chores around the home. So the placement and the areas of these particular spaces are going to be important as you design your floor plans in the future. Traffic or circulation paths are the routes that people follow as they move from one place to the other. So what I like to think of traffic or circulation paths are really like your hallways or how you get to one place to another, such as from your living room to your kitchen, or even like your living room to a bathroom. How convenient and how easy it is to get to those places where you need to go. Typically for your paths, you should have about 3 to 4 feet allowed for circulation because you don't want people, if they're passing through a hallway, let's say, you don't want them to be cramped and be shoulder to shoulder as they're trying to pass by each other. Some tips for some good family circulation, again, just the relation of certain rooms and certain spaces. You definitely want bathrooms to be close to bedrooms if possible. I know a lot of you may not have attached bathrooms or ensuite bathrooms, but that's something that some more modern homes are definitely incorporating. You should try to have indoor living areas next to outdoor living areas as well. And other related rooms should be close together, and this will vary from house to house and the needs of the family, but thinking about those room relationships is definitely going to be important. Next thing to write on your note-taking guide are work triangles. With work triangles, this is mostly when you are referencing or taking a look at kitchens in particular. So with your work triangle, how you can kind of consider this is that you want to take the route from the center of your sink, from the center of your stove, to the center of your refrigerator, and then back to the sink. The bigger the triangle that you have, the more steps that you'll have to take within the kitchen. But if you have a smaller triangle, such as the second example here, it'll kind of save you steps as you're working around the kitchen. For safety reasons, of course, in the kitchen where there's hot items, sharp items like knives, you definitely want there to be no cross traffic, just so you can avoid any accidents as much as possible. Some other things to consider with good work circulation. Here are just some questions to kind of think about as far as when you're designing homes or redesigning homes. You definitely want easy access to the basement, garage, and storage areas just when you're moving or you're trying to store things. Your laundry area or clothes care area should be in a convenient location. I know many of us may have our laundry area in the basements, which are super inconvenient if you have to go down 2 flights of stairs. Some are on the main level, and some are even on the top level where the bedrooms are located, which is super convenient. Another big thing that I typically consider and that I would look for, especially when I was house hunting, was can you bring the groceries in from the outside without having to go through the living room? So when you are bringing in groceries, let's say from the garage, how many steps do you have to take, or how far is the kitchen, so you don't have to haul everything in multiple trips. That's just something that I remember as a child. I would have to help with the groceries, and I would have to travel up a flight of stairs in order to bring their groceries in. So a lot of these are just some things to consider as you do your house hunting in the future, or when you're working with clients to redesign their homes. Your service entrance should be located near the kitchen and basement stairs. So these are just entrances, again, into the kitchen area and into any other areas where you're going to be doing some work, such as the laundry area and garages. So you definitely want these service entrances to be pretty accessible because people will be frequently going in and out. With guest circulation, again, when you're thinking of circulation for you as a homeowner, that could be a lot different than guests, because with guests who are unfamiliar with your home, they might need a little bit more direction. The entry, living, dining, or powder room or half bath shouldn't be in the private areas of the home. These areas should definitely be accessible and probably in the main areas where, it's easy for guests to find. Porches, patios, entertainment rooms, these are kind of where, in relation, that these spaces should be close to. These are just some questions to ask yourself when it comes to guest circulation. How do guests get to the powder room or to the bathroom? I know if it's not obvious, I always have to ask people in unfamiliar places, like, hey, where's your bathroom or where's your powder room? And they'll direct you if it's down a hall or whatnot. But typically, newer homes will have powder rooms pretty obvious or right by an entrance and whatnot. Another big thing to consider if you are having guests or you do like to entertain is if the kitchen is handy for serving food and drinks to your guests. Because the last thing you want to do is whip up a bunch of food and drinks and have to carry it from a closed kitchen to the living area that is a few feet away, just with the risk of spilling and convenience, really. But this is why a lot of the more open concept homes are really popular nowadays, just so you can see everybody and you can more conveniently serve food and drinks. Go ahead and take a minute, and you may pause here to draw a line and connect the important room relationships on the bottom of the first page of your notes. So bathrooms and bedrooms should definitely be near each other, kitchen and dining, mudroom and garage and kitchen, just for that grocery haul aspect, kitchen and outdoor living space, if you do like to barbecue and entertain, and then your living and dining areas. If you can think of other important room relationships, go ahead and also jot that down on the bottom of the first page of your notes. As you turn to the next page, you will see an example of a floor plan. Go ahead and follow the directions on this page, and what you'll first do is color code each area in the floor plan. So you'll want to color all of the living and social areas yellow, the sleeping private areas in red, and the work and service areas in blue. After you've done that, go ahead and answer the 4 questions. Please answer in complete sentences and really observe and take a look at what you notice within this particular floor plan. I will have the sub and leave notes for the sub to hand out colored pencils to each table. If she doesn't do that, just go ahead and go up and ask her for the bundle of colored pencils for this activity. All right, next page of your notes, just a few definitions to kind of breeze through here, and then I'll explain the assignment that you'll be working on. Bird's eye view definition. A bird's eye view is a view drawn as seen from the perspective of a bird flying and looking down. So many of the floor plans that you guys will draw will definitely be from a bird's eye view. When we start even looking and using SketchUp, you can view your model from different perspectives, and one is a bird's eye view. If you really wanted to take a look at the exterior, let's say of a home, and you wanted to take a look and see that view of a roof, it would be from this perspective. All right, one last thing here on traffic patterns. I'm sorry, this is kind of out of order on your notes because we talked a little bit about traffic and circulation patterns already. But with traffic patterns, you definitely want to just really draw arrows as far as where, like what direction people would travel in certain spaces. So in this example, your living room or your great room, there are a lot of different traffic patterns here because people are either going to be going to the bedroom, they might come in from the porch, go to the master bedroom, dining area. So it's just really the path or the direction that people will travel within certain spaces. You don't necessarily have to do it right now, but I will have you in the future definitely draw traffic patterns on floor plans, just again, so you can consider and make any adjustments if traffic patterns are not very efficient. All right, types of drawings in a set of blueprints. So there's 7 different types of drawings that I will go over here, and you can just go ahead and write the description, short description of each of these. So your first drawing is your floor plan. Your floor plan is a scale diagram, and we'll talk a little bit more about scale in a moment in regards to floor plans. These are pretty basic. Pretty much every home will have a floor plan to follow. That way you can see the arrangement of the rooms and how the house flows. Your next are foundation plans. These are really the baseline of the structure of the home or of the building that is being constructed. This is really more for the architects and contractors, just so they can kind of see and figure out what they will have to build before they actually build it. So it may be the actual like wood or steel structure, and they might have to pour foundation as well, but this just gives them an idea of where to place things and the dimensions of the structure. Next are electrical plans. Electrical plans are super important just so you, electricians in particular can see the electrical design before installation. Even with my husband working in construction, the electrical plans are super important because if people don't follow the plans and the electrical outlets and things like that are installed, if there are mistakes, it is super expensive to reconfigure and reinstall any type of electrical designs. So especially people who are in charge of this, they definitely have to follow these plans and make sure that, you know, they triple check everything, because in the long run, if there is a mistake with electrical plans, it will cost them a huge amount of money in the long run. Next are plot plans. Plot plans show the layout of the buildings, utility runs, roads, and other existing structures at a project site. So with this plot plan example here, it looks like they're going to build a home, but you'll see where in relation to the home are streets, where other homes are as well, and how close homes are to each other. So this is really important to some people as well, just so they know that they're not gonna build their home on, let's say, a sewer line, or if there's some other issues with the plot or with the land that they're building on. This is kind of what they will reference to make sure that they're building on a good piece of land.